Okay, welcome everybody. Today is Monday, November 13th. We're beginning the annual meeting for the 2023-2024 legislative session. We're going to do, first thing, I'd like to introduce our new members. And if you would stand, please, when I call your name. Second, I'm going to swear in everybody who was on the ballot on Tuesday. And then last but not least is to finish roll call for the remaining members. So bear with me, and then we'll determine. I'm assuming we have a quorum, but first things first. Okay, beginning in District 1, our new members, please welcome Jessica Cahill and Bill Clarkson. In District 6, please welcome Peter Myhopoulos and Verna Young. Okay, so I'm going to go through, go by district. When you hear your name, please stand, and then I'll administer the oath. In District 1, Louisa Brockman, Patty Baumgardner, Jessica Cahill, Bill Clarkson, Patrick Keene, Deirdre McGovern, Karen McNichol, Lois Schneider, Jenny Schwartz, Bert von Stupenagel. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to have to do attendance at the same time. And Karen, yes. Okay, if you could please remain standing. District 2, Vincent Argambault, Malin Angel Holt, Jeff Hudson, Peter Marusik, and Jackie Miller. In District 3, Carrie Cardone, Adele Conniff, Bill Dunn, Eric Gullis, okay. Ann King, no Ann King, I'm sorry, I can't see. Is Ann there? Okay, thank you. Elizabeth Lane, Beth Lane, Sue Ellen Mitchell, Tom Moore, Seth Morton, Kirk Ruddy. Oh, okay, that's a good point. Kirk Ruddy. All right, moving on. District 4, Jim Cameron, Christine Castles, Paige Christ, Dan Guller, Frank Kemp, Joe Michelli, Andrew Millar, Rolf Oben, Sandy Savage. Okay, no Sandy. Oh, sorry, District 5, Kenneth Fiveson, Holly Wang, Tony Lorino, Susan Marks, Rohit Parwal, Mac Patrick, Erica Procaccini, Bill Smith, Amy Zabatakis. Okay, last but not least, District 6, Mary Neva Gauthier, Janet Grogan, Elizabeth Lucas, Caroline Luz, Peter Myopoulos, Peter Afanos, Bill Van Loan, Teresa Vogt, and Verna Young. Okay, wonderful. For those of you all standing, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear upon penalty or perjury that you will faithfully uphold the rules of the RTM as members of the Darien Representative Town Meeting, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury? Repeat, I do, if so. I do. Congratulations, you're all sworn in. I'm sorry, District 1. Okay, I'm gonna go back to District 1. Okay, good, I'm gonna sign it. Okay, so now we have to do this for those who are currently seated on the RTM. If you could just please indicate here when your name is called out. Sarah Baldwin. Diane Conalog. Casey McSarry. Patrick Parr. Lois Schneider. Jenny Schwartz. Bert von Stupenagel. Priscilla Wong. Okay, thank you. District 2. Michael Coslow. Cheryl Russell. Emily Salmore. Clara Sartori. Charles Teschner. Barbara Thorne. Katie Vanovich. Mike Wheeler. Penny Wilson. District 3. Carrie Cardone. She's out. Okay. Jeff Krause. Jack Davis. Sarah Hesley. She indicates she can be here. Ed Washeka. Okay. Leanne Zielinski. Okay. District 5. No, I'm sorry, District 4. Meg Bott. Nick Bronca. Thank you. Werner Domiter. Betty Keller. Kim Kiner. Brian Rahill. Jan Raymond. Okay. District 5. Mark Adeletta. David Bain. Curtis Butler. Ian Laird. Harry McLaughlin. Alyssa Mahoney. Beth Pope. And lastly, District 6, Frank Edelman. Alec Costanzo. Sandra Conway. Alicia Johnson. Susan Luritzen. Rachel Taylor. John Vesey. David York. Okay, I would say we do have a quorum. Town Council, we have a quorum. The last notice I will give before we turn it over to the nominating committee for you to elect your next moderator, I thought I'd give you an update as to where we stand after the election. So in District 1, there is one opening, which I would hope District 1 members and District Chair to start soliciting to find a new member. I'm happy to help in any way on social media, but let me know. One opening in District 1, one opening in District 2, 2 openings in District 3. District 4, you are full. District 4, you've got great attendance too. You guys rock. District 5, you have 2 openings. And District 6, who had the only contested office on the ballot, you are full with 17 members. Correct.
But then someone in our district ran for Board of Ed, but did not resign prior, so that's why we have to fill it. Next year, can we, if it's uncontested races, can we encourage that person or people to resign prior so we could have had it filled? Just a suggestion.
Well, that clearly is at the discretion of the candidate. There was a conversation, and until the ballots are all cast and counted, there is no certainty, so the individual chose to wait until the end of the legislative session, who announced his resignation. You were. That's true. There were no openings until November 8th. Thank you, Patty, for, yes, so there was a slight clarification. Okay, at this moment now, I will turn it over to Lois Schneider, who will lead the body in the process of selecting the next moderator.
Thank you, Krista. My name is Lois Schneider, and I'm District 1, and I was Vice Chair of the Rules Committee, which made me Chair of the Nominating Committee for this year for the moderator. So I'm going to explain the process, and then we'll elect our moderator. So the process for selecting the moderator is to put out an electronic request for people to, sign up or recommend somebody to be a moderator. And that went out a few days ago from Krista, and we got some responses. After that, we ask on the floor if there are any nominations. For anyone nominated, they have the right to refuse the nomination. And then anyone who accepts the nomination, that we need a second for that nomination. And if there are multiple people nominated for moderator, then we will have each person come up, give a 2-minute talk, and we will vote by secret ballot. Okay, so that's the process. So where we are right now is there were 3 people that came in through the electronic nominations. Seth Morton, Mark Adeletta, and myself. And I'm going to speak on behalf of Mark and myself to say we're honored that our names were submitted as nominations, and then we respectfully decline the nomination. That was quick, right? Okay. So Seth, will you accept the nomination? Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, everybody. Okay, that's great. Okay, now I'm going to open up any nominations from the floor. Are there any nominations for moderator? Okay. Seeing none, then by acclamation, I will turn this meeting over to Seth Morton, our newly elected moderator. Thank you, Seth.
Thank you all. It is a pleasure to serve you. I first joined this body, 1985. And aside from a short stint on the Board of Selectmen, I've been sort of doing this ever since. And yes, it's great to be up front here because now I can see you all face to face. I'm one of the few people in the room who gets to do that, so it's a pleasure. Thank you very much for your support. We do have some work to do tonight. Normally, we just like to split up and go ahead and organize the districts and get out of here, but we had some things that we just had to do, so the Rules Committee did put items on the agenda. The first item is acceptance of the agenda. And without objection, we'd like to move the items 23-27 and 23-28 to the January meeting of the RTM. Since this agenda was published, there have been a number of questions and suggestions about the Appendix B and that have come forward, and they came forward just lately, and there's been no chance to react to them, to do anything about them. So in order to take the time to consider what people have suggested we do, I would like, without objection, to take the Appendix B items off the agenda tonight and put them on the agenda in January. Are there any objections? Okay, thank you very much. I think it's a smart thing to do. This process on Appendix B has gone on for some time, but it's complex, it's not easy, and trying to get everybody's input and then to make, to adjust to the suggestions takes time and effort to do, and we want to do it right, and we want it to be something that the RTM can fully support. The next item is approval of the minutes of September 18th. Do I have a motion in favor? Thank you, Clara. And Any other, Jack? Got a second from Jack, that's great. Are there any additions, deletions, comments, anything on the minutes? Okay. Ready to vote? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Don't hear any. Abstentions, you can give any abstentions to the clerk after the meeting. Great, the minutes of September 18 are passed. Just some announcements for tonight. Because of the timing, we had to put the Public Works Union contract on the agenda because we got 30 days to approve it or it automatically goes in effect, and we didn't want to not give the RTM a chance to vote. So the reports will be from committees that were assigned in 2022 because we haven't constituted the new ones yet. The chair, vice chair, or a senior member of the RTM from each district can conduct a recording of the votes in each district. You can use the same folks who were chairs back elected in 2022. And then you'll get tomorrow material electronically to select your committee preferences to be completed by Thursday, November 16. And be sure you do that, because you don't want to have not filled out a preference sheet, because then you leave it up to the members of the Rules Committee to arbitrarily assign you someplace. So get your preferences in. The Rules Committee asked me to brief you briefly on the next steps as far as organizing the body. You've already received materials which will help support your decision-making as far as committee assignments are concerned. You also we'll talk to you about the rules of procedure in the RTM, Freedom of Information Act, and Robert's Rules of Order. To organize the body tonight, we will meet as districts and elect chairs, vice chairs, and 2 members of the Rules Committee. The town clerk will send out the preference questionnaire for committee assignments. The preference results will be sent to the District Rules Committee members from each district, and then responses must be made, as I said, by the 16th. Every member of the RTM is assigned a committee by the Rules Committee based on the preference questionnaires. In addition, descriptions of the committee roles and functions have been sent out so that it'll assist you in making the selection process. The Rules Committee will meet next Monday night to assign committees, and then on November 27, the committees will meet to elect chairs, vice chairs, and clerks. They will also set their agendas for the coming year, and then on December 11th, we all get together for the State of the Town meeting. As far as the rules of procedure are concerned, the RTM rules of procedure are described in Appendix B of the Town Code, and that is available on the town website. As you will see, it describes how the RTM is organized, talks about required meetings and the conduct of meetings. It is not a long read, but it does contain a great deal of information about how the RTM runs. If you haven't read it in a while, just go up and read it. It doesn't take long to read, but you can see how all of this sort of somehow fits together. We are subject to the Freedom of Information Act. The RTM, it specifies, among other things, the lead time for noticing meetings, the time requirements for posting minutes of meetings, and you're fine until somebody complains, and then it gets messy. So the URL for the Freedom of Information Act website is under the RTM section of the town website, so you can look it up there. And there are some just easy graphics on what the timetables are and what you have to do simply to comply with FOI, but it's good to read it. So as far as timing of meetings and all of that and warning of meetings, that falls under FOI. Debate within the body is subject to Robert's Rules of Order. It's Robert's Rules of Order is revised. If you go to YouTube and type in Robert's Rules of Order, you will find several video primers on Robert's Rules. And they're very interesting, and they do give you a good feel for how it all works and fits together. And depending upon how long you want to see the video, you can pick videos of different length, which go into more and more detail the longer they get. But it's an easy way to start to get a feel for it all. The hard copies, both abridged and full editions of Robert's Rules, are available on Amazon and local bookstores if you want that. Ms. Town Council, would you just hold up Robert's Rules there? That's it, folks. We're on the 12th revision. And you can see that serious folks have them tabbed extensively and a little raggedy. So that's my briefing. Say again?
I'd like to make a point of clarification.
Yes, yes. On what item?
Well, you'll hear it it'll make sense when I say it. So Susan Marks, District 5. I want to make the RTM body aware that we received an email at 3:30 p.m. today with a document titled Committee Descriptions that has not been approved and therefore not official. There is an official committee description in Appendix B that could have been distributed tonight. I understand the document is going through revisions, but it is still the RTM official description as of tonight. We are the legislative body of Darien. We expect official documents from various town bodies, and when we discuss matters, we should expect the same from within this body. It should, at the very least, have been written draft on it. I find it extremely disappointing and disturbing that we would receive an unapproved document for our use tonight. We can and should do better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will point out that the documents sent were to be used as a tool in helping make a decision. It's the most recent information that's available on the descriptions of the committees, and you have to make a decision about what committee you're going to be on. And the wording was approved by the Rules Committee, and that's how they come from Appendix B. That's how Appendix B got on the agenda. The Rules Committee approved putting it on the agenda. So, at any rate, it's a little moot now because we're going to go back for the next couple of months and try and absorb all of the comments that we received and make adjustments to the Appendix B so that everybody will be able to support it, hopefully, when we come back in January. Next item is update on Great Island. Our representative, Mark Adaletta.
Can you hear me? Yes. There we go. Good evening, Mark Adaletta, District 5, and your RTM representative to the Great Island Advisory Committee. Since I presented here about 8 weeks ago, the GIAC, your town officials and town staff continue to advance the process of preparing Great Island for public access. At the September 30 meeting, the first selectman announced public ground tours of Great Island. There was one weather delay that postponed it, I think, a week or two before those tours actually took place. I understand approximately 700 members of the community participated in these narrated tours. The feedback, at least that I received, was that the beauty was, quote, overwhelming, was one comment I got. The island is very impressive. Others commented on the narration itself that was done with the tours, and actually got some comments on the lovely statues that were donated. Following up on questions raised by this body last time I spoke, Public Works Director Ed Gentile provided an environmental focus update at the September meeting. Ed had met with Public Health Director David Knopf to give him an update as well. He updated him on environmental findings as part of the purchase for moving ahead and discussing the remediation that was done. He noted there were environmental reports were commissioned prior to the finalization of the GI purchase by the town. Environmental issues were identified by those reports. Based on this, the town used its vendors and consultants to do some remediation and process ahead of the purchase. Ed further reported some areas were identified as above the, quote, residential direct contact criteria throughout the island. He went on to describe the contact limitations associated with this criteria and limitations associated with those areas. Ed noted that until remediation to these areas, which is, I'm told, approximately, or we were told, approximately 8 acres out of 60, should be restricted from public access. He touched on various remediation methods available and how these depend on the intended use of these areas. Some of the remediation methods are or were tested, monitored, and evaluate their effectiveness. Ed noted the results are still pending, and at the time of the meeting, the results were still pending, and that they will be made public when they're received. He noted parts of the site had significant environmental hazards. Ed elaborated on what those contaminations were, and that a 90-day state reporting requirement on these had been completed, and those had been taken care of also prior to the purchase. Other environmental items noted included that there's an eagle's nest. Activities in the proximity of this are regulated, and Ed and his team are reaching out, or at the time were reaching out to DEP for guidance on restrictions and how to handle that. On an infrastructure, the existing landscaper is staying in place through the end of the year and was being evaluated as of October for consideration and extension of his contract. Other infrastructure items include septic systems were pumped out. Public Works is also evaluating how to best winterize the structures. Some of that is proceeded. Dead and compromised trees continue to be removed as they're identified. Access plan and getting two-way access to off of Rings End Road was touched on next. A very preliminary driveway and entrance plan was presented at that September meeting. As described, a 22-foot driveway area and a 5-foot sidewalk area are contemplated in this very, quote, preliminary plan. This plan, if pursued, will require some tree removal and a retaining wall. Driveway lighting was also discussed. By way of process, these plans, once they're at the 75% complete phase, if they get that far, will need to go through a full approval process, P&Z, EPC, ARB. Also mentioned in that approval chain or consideration were coastal reporting, drainage impact study, soil erosion plan, lighting photometric layout was also mentioned. An initial, quote, aggressive timeline for a possible June commencement of construction was tossed on the table at that meeting. At the time of the purchase, some basic parking analysis was done utilizing, quote, pocket parking concepts. Public Works is seeking guidance on parking and objectives from the great GIAC and other bodies before proceeding further. Other plans presented to address certain items include transformer removals. There's 4 of them. These contain hazards. I don't want to try to understand what those hazards are, but 4 of them need to be removed. Bids were opened as of October 17. The estimated cost before the bids came in was somewhere in the range of $25,000 to $35,000. We'll see where the bids came in. Other item, asbestos removal at 2 locations was discussed. These relate to 2 currently occupied buildings. DPW is pursuing estimates Other sites exist that require remediation related to asbestos. They are unoccupied, and as of that meeting, we're not being pursued. Ed recommended tightness tests for oil tanks on the property. These are oil tanks that are in use and are used to keep the buildings heated. Ed reported to the GIAC that he is going to proceed with the testing. Roof leaks. Ed reported a roof leak on the stable, and an estimated cost, a bid was received for $3,750. That's $3,750. Ed is moving ahead with that. The reason being that is protecting occupied space with one of the tenants. Other items talked about involve buoy deployment. There's a jetty that is below water at high tide, I think it is, and we talked about adding, I think it's permitted for 5 buoys, and I think there's 4 there now. DPW is also performing some minor repairs to doors on the, quote, big house. The reason for that is to prevent debris from keep getting in there and having to clean it out. Sump pump inspections were performed or are being performed on certain of the facilities. Repairs being made by DPW as needed, and related drainage issues are being addressed. At the subsequent meeting on October 18, Kate Bush, the town administrator, addressed the GIAC. She discussed the process of hiring vendors and consultants to support the work at GI. She reviewed the bid process in detail. Recall many of the members of the GI, well, several of the members of the GIAC are not familiar with the bid process, government bid process. This was a long, detailed discussion. One of the members mentioned that the process is similar to, as far as hiring vendors or consultants, is probably similar to what was followed when the Parks Master Plan was put in place. So the comment was made that there's at least a place to start, although such a plan would be materially different. Ed provided an update in October as well. He reported a series of repairs related to the tenants addressed at the prior meeting had been addressed. Bids for some of the work identified in the September meeting were discussed. With regard to cost tracking, which I think was raised by this body, Ed confirmed that cost codes are being assigned to all work being done on GI, and those were being segregated from other public works work being done around town. This will allow tracking for input when considering the future of certain facilities. Right now, risk, security, and liability projects are being prioritized. For example, at that October meeting, the committee did vote to recommend to the Board of Selectmen the installation of a fence that's currently not protected around an existing pool, for safety purposes. Ed was asked to prepare a matrix of the various projects identified among the meetings that he's presented to the GIAC. He was asked to not only present a list of various projects, but the costs incurred to date and the estimated future costs. Again, these are going to be building blocks to inform future decisioning. For better communication with the public, the new town website has a GIAC section. This was discussed at the meeting, with most of the information that's presented at these GIAC meetings. The idea of perhaps having an individual to enhance communication and outreach and get information and collect it from the community was discussed. Jeff Table on the committee expressed an interest in spearheading the effort, and this will be picked up at a subsequent meeting more formally. Finally, the concept of rules was also discussed at that October meeting. Rules relating to, rules and enforcement relating to, once public access is given, to guide activities to some degree. So please continue to reach out with your questions, thoughts, suggestions. The GIAC meetings are, as I mentioned last time, public, and they are recorded on Channel 79. There's much more detail in those videos. I guess they're videos. I encourage you to tune in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Great detail. Nice going. The next item on the agenda is item 2326, Public Works Union Contract. And, well, speaking on behalf of Public Works, Mark Adeletta.
Mark Adeletta, Chair of Public Works. At this time, I'd like to move item 2326, consideration and action of the RTM of the Town of Darien to approve a union contract between the Town of Darien and the Public Works, Parks, and Recreation Union. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. Without objection, I'd like to waive the reading of the resolution. Seeing none. A special session of the Public Works Committee was held November 1. This meeting was held jointly with our friends in F&B and our friends in Parks and Rec subcommittees. With 11 of 14 members present, the Public Works Committee considered and voted unanimously to recommend to the approval, that is, not to reject, this item to the full RTM. At that meeting, Town Administrator Kate Bush provided the committees assembled a summary of the contract. The current contract, as I noted, covers Public Works and Parks and Rec Union employees, and it expired on June 30 of this year. The new contract is 4 years, which is slightly longer than the typical 3-year contract term. The general wage increases were 2.875 each of the 4 consecutive years. These general wage increases are slightly above the average negotiated settlements over the life of the contract, but are below the arbitrated settlements for the year for which data was referenced. Currently, 74% of members are at the top step. By the end of the contract, I think it's over 80% of the members will be at that top step. What this means is that they will not receive the general wage, will only receive the general wage increases. Note, retirements that occur during the period of the contract do reduce the overall cost of this contract because they come in, new employees come in at lower steps. With regard to the medical plan, the contract does reflect an increase in the employee premium cost share of an increase of 1%, 12% starting July of 24 and 13% starting June 30 of 26. That's been stepping up with each progressive union contract that I can remember. On retirement plan, there is an increase in the contribution to the defined contribution plan, with both town and employees contributing 7% of base pay. It was noted in the meeting that this remains below the percentage of the pay the town contributes towards in the old defined pension plan. On vacation, there was a change. Prior to this contract, members of the union could roll over up to 2 years' worth of vacation, quote, 10 weeks maximum. The new contract grandfathers in employees at that old program if they have over 20 years of service. Going forward, employees with less than 20 years of service will continue to be allowed to roll forward 2 years' worth of vacation, but can only be paid out at a maximum of 5 weeks, so half the old program. There were some minor adjustments related to tool allowances and clothing allowances. In summary, the PWC, Public Works Committee, concurred with Town Administrator's observation that the proposed contract settlement, proposed at that time, was a reasonable outcome. Again, the PWC voted 11 out of 14 unanimous to approve, not rejecting this contract, I think is what we're doing, right, sir? Thank you.
Thanks, thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Speaking on behalf of the Parks and Recreation Committee, Adele Coniff.
Hi, Adele Coniff, District 3, Parks and Rec Committee Chair. You're going to get tired of hearing the same numbers, sorry. Tried to make it short, folks. On 2326. On November 1st, 2023, the RTM Parks and Recreation Committee met jointly with the Public Works and Finance and Budget Committees to review the Town of Darien's 4-year contract agreement with the Public Works and Parks and Recreation Union. Kate Bush, Darien Town Administrator, attended the meeting and gave an overview of the contract to the committees and answered our questions. Parks and Recreation has 6 employees affected by this contract. Highlights of the contract. Wages. The contract calls for a general wage increase of 2.875% on July 1, 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026. The average cost increase is expected to be 2.88% over the duration of the contract. Medical, there are no changes to the provisions of the medical plan. The employee premium cost share for medical will increase 12% on July 1, 2024, and 13% on July 30th, 2026. Vacation pay. For employees with less than 20 years of service, this contract caps the amount of accrued vacation time that can be paid out at separation from employment. Retirement plan. The defined contribution plan will have increased contributions with town and employee contributing 7% of base pay. Compensatory time and overtime. Union employees will receive double time payment when called in to work on Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Christmas Day. With 10 of 15 RTM Parks and Recreation Committee members present, constituting a quorum, the committee voted unanimously to not reject this contract between the Town of Darien and the Public Works, Parks and Recreation Union. The committee recommends this reasonable settlement to the RTM.
Thank you, Adele. Let me think now. Somebody else has got to speak. Speaking on behalf of the Finance and Budget Committee, Jack Davis.
I'm Jack Davis, District 3, RTM Finance and Budget Chair. I want to thank the Park and Rec and the Public Works Committee for having the joint meeting together. This is my short version. Thank you for those excellent reports. I am not going to repeat the details that you have heard. The only thing I'll mention is that the town on an annual basis accrues for all union contracts under negotiation and non-union staff. So that was already added into the budget, as you heard. The increases are going to be made retroactive to July 1st. All those expenses are already included in our budget, and therefore you will not see anything other than a bunch of journal entries that are going to go through the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. The RTM Finance and Budget Committee met on November 1st and voted unanimously not to reject the union contract. The committee recommends the same to the full RTM. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jack. Any comments from the body? No? Electors of the town? Ready to vote? No. No?
No, because they don't have their voting sheets.
Oh,
So, okay.
one moment, we have an administrative pause.
Well, yes, we won't be able to report. So if I may have either the prior district chair or the longest serving member of the district, please come up and get your voting sheet. This will be the same sheet you'll record for this resolution and also the selection of chair, vice chair, and rules.
Hey, Tom.
There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I'm going to wait. Okay. Let me try this again. Are we ready to vote?
Which one is it?
one second.
2326.
2326. All right. All those in favor, please rise. Okay, opposed? I see none. Abstentions? I don't see any abstentions. Okay. Proceed to get a count here. Okay, I'll ask first, right? Okay. The motion passed.
77 yes, 1 abstention.
77 yes, 1 abstention. Next is election of 3 names for 3 members for the Board of Ethics. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 nominees. Okay, friends. Mark Adaletta, do you accept nomination? No, thank you, sir. Kleins? I just thought maybe. Help if I cross these off as I go along. David, you want to accept? Yes. Okay. Jim? Yes. Peter Orfanos? Yes. Barbara Thorne? Yes?
I'm still on, yeah, right. I don't think
No?
I don't think I'm up this term. I think I'm one of those other ones.
She's not up?
No,
No, she is up.
no, I'm
No?
continuing is what the.
You want to continue?
Yeah, there's 2 and then there's 3, right?
All right.
I don't know that that's clarified, Seth. Well, that's.
Has her term expired?
No,
Yeah.
But it hadn't.
I think Christmas is it.
So, it,
Let's go, whatever.
now, well,
I would be up again.
I'm going to go with our distinguished town clerk, who says that the term expired. So I'm putting you down for yes.
Fine.
Verna Young? Verna?
I decline.
Yes? Okay. No. Decline. I want to ask these a couple of times, so I got them. Vincent Archambault?
I decline.
Meg Bott? Patrick Keane?
I didn't hear what she said.
She said yes. Patrick Keane? Yes. Rachel Taylor?
Sure, yeah, I'll accept.
Okay. And John Vesey? John? Yes? Okay. So the nominees are David Bain, Jim Cameron, Peter Orfanos, Barbara Thorne.
Peterson, no.
Peterson, no. Excuse me, Peter. That's why we go over these a couple times, get this straight.
Sorry.
Okay, Peter Orfanos, no. So it's David Bain, Jim Cameron, Barbara Thorne, Meg Bott, Patrick Kane, Rachel Taylor, and John Vesey.
Sorry, just want to revisit. Scratch me, Rachel Taylor.
Okay. Okay, so you're going to check off up to 3 names from the list that you're going to get from David Bain, Jim Cameron, Barbara Thorne, Meg Bott, Patrick Keane, and John Vesey. Okay?
Okay. Nominations from the floor?
Yeah. Are there any further nominations from the floor? Yes. Frank.
Can you please remind us who the continuing members are?
Continuing members are, do you have who the?
Continuing members are Beth Pope and Jan Raymond, who were elected last year for their 2-year terms. It's a 5-person body.
Thank you.
Okay. We got music to go with it. This is very good. Yes, Miss.
If I'm not mistaken, does this board have to have a certain amount of representation amongst the parties? So we need to know the political parties.
Yeah, we can have up to 4 of the same.
So we need to know the political.
It is subject to minority representation. Yeah.
You don't need it.
Yeah, we have the minority representation already, so it's not a problem.
The 2 members are of different parties. The 2 members currently seated are of 2 different parties. So the outcome of this election will not, you already have one who's the other. So you do not need to consider that in this election. But good, thank you.
Okay. If you would come down, if the people from each, the district chairs who are acting district chairs tonight, if you come down and pick up the ballots.
Are you given the opportunity to speak?
Yes, yep, I would do that.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's a very good point.
Yeah. We're going to hand out the ballots now. Yeah, I think you have to. Which? And then wait. So, as part of this highly sophisticated system we're going to use tonight, I'm going to everybody. I'm going to go ahead and reread the active candidates so you can scratch off your ballots.
I could tell you we're shortchanged.
No, first of all, I'm having them update the ballot because the ballot doesn't. Then we'll do speeches. Okay, so just so that you can update your ballots, the active candidates are, everybody, please pay attention. I'm going to give you the active candidates again so you can scratch off the non-active candidates from your ballot, okay? So it's David Bain, Jim Cameron, these are active, Barbara Thorne, Meg Bott, Patrick Kane, and John Vesey. All right, so you can update your ballot there. Yes, cross out. You cross out Mark Adeletta, Peter Orfanos, Varna Young, Vincent Argambaugh, and Rachel Taylor.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Clara.
Some people want to know if the candidates are going to give a speech or talk about themselves at all.
Yeah, that's next.
Okay.
It's up and coming. Speeches. All right. Ready, everybody? David Bain.
Right.
I'll keep it brief, just like Jack Davis does.
2 minutes.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I'm David Bain from District 5. I joined the RTM in 2003, served for a couple of terms, then joined the Board of Selectmen, served there for 3 terms, 6 years, and then took a mental health holiday for 2 years and rejoined the RTM in 2015. I've served on the TGS&A Committee in Public Works and served several terms on the Board of Ethics and have served as both its chair and vice chair. Professionally, I am a lawyer at a large AmLaw 100 law firm in New York City, and I focus my practice on representing lawyers in legal malpractice or professional liability claims and counseling lawyers and law firms on legal ethics under the rules of professional conduct. I also speak on legal ethics and will be speaking at an ABA conference this May in California on conflicts of interest. So both professionally and with respect to my time as a town official, I've spent a lot of time thinking about ethics and probably deal with ethical issues almost every day. So in my view, the Board of Ethics serves 2 important functions in this town. It's both a watchdog of the ethics of both town officials and employees. It covers basically the entire town. But more importantly, and kind of somewhat under the radar, it also serves as the gatekeeper. An ethics complaint has real reputational harm attached to it. And the Board of Ethics needs to treat those with confidence and with a lot of discretion when they first come in to determine whether the complaint actually raises a question of a potential violation under the Code of Ethics. Many complainants, and I've seen this from my time on the Board of Ethics, come to the board thinking that somebody has done something unethical or improper in some way and it offends their sense of morality or whatever. But it doesn't rise to a complaint under the Darien Code of Ethics, which is concerned about conflicts of interest primarily, and using your town position in a way that somehow advances your personal interests. So if a complaint doesn't rise to that level, it doesn't, require the Board of Ethics to deal with it and should be dismissed. Now, if it does raise a question under the Code of Ethics, then it has to be addressed and investigated, and perhaps hearings need to be held. But those too should be done as confidentially as possible as allowed under the law so that the town official's reputation isn't harmed in the process. And I think it's very important as we decide who's going to serve on the Board of Ethics that we vote for people who understand that, serious people who understand the ramifications of an ethics complaint. So I ask you to consider me. I do this in my professional life. I've done this for many years on the town. And, I hope to be serving on the Board of Ethics this year. And I hope we have a quiet term. Very much so. But if not, I'm prepared to serve. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Next, Jim Cameron.
Good evening. Jim Cameron, District 4. I've been a member of this body for over 20 years, a Darien resident for over 30. I am an unaffiliated voter. I've been on the Board of Ethics on and off for about 10 years, and I have been chairman for the past year. I led an effort to help educate people, as David was trying to do, as to what the Board of Ethics is. We have streamlined the application process, and you didn't realize it, but we've been handling complaints this year, and none of which rose to the standard that David was addressing that went any further than our executive session consideration. If you know me from my work at TV 79, you know that I am unbiased, I am unaffiliated, I am nonpartisan, and I promise I will bring that same work ethic to, if you would re-elect me, please, to another term on the Board of Ethics. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Barbara?
Feel trapped in my chair. It's all right. I'm okay.
You can use that one if you want.
Oh, okay. Whatever you would prefer.
No, whatever is easiest for you.
This is fine. Whatever. Okay. It's a shorter walk. I have served 3 terms on the Board of Ethics. I'm willing to step up again. I've been in town for 50 years. I was on the Darien High School for 30 of those, and kind of have a wide view of people. I am a counselor by profession and by, the Board of Ethics is an interesting thing. I've taken some training, by the way, over one of my terms, state training, and it becomes unethical when you are going to profit from whatever is happening, or when you see profit for yourself. So it's kind of a balance about what works and what doesn't work. But we have had some interesting cases. They tend to be ones that I find I have problems sometimes knowing the people personally and knowing what's really going on. That can be a plus as well as a minus. But it's interesting. So, yes, I'm willing to step up again. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. What do we do with these?
Thanks. Meg Bott?
Thank you. Hello. I didn't have a prepared speech or anything, but listening to the first 3 people speak, clearly there's some educated and well-equipped people for this board, which is wonderful. What I would offer potentially is, I haven't been on the RTM more than 4 years, but I think maybe having a new perspective, someone who is relatively new to the community, and I say relative meaning I moved in 2010, which I think in this room might be pretty new. So a little bit about my professional experience. I've worked 25 years in the energy commodity space. First 15 of that was as a trader. And the last 10 has been in a marketing capacity, and I'm very familiar with compliance and regulatory law as it pertains to energy. It has a very immediate impact on what I do, and ultimately it has an impact on your energy bill. So these are things that matter to me, and again, sorry, I'm actually a little bit nervous. I'm quite impressed by the scope and skill level of everyone here. And it's nice to see everyone. I'm sitting like right in the front row, so quite literally I don't see anybody. Anyway, I'll stop blabbering. But I would really appreciate an opportunity to serve on this board. I think, again, I could bring a different perspective, perhaps. My experience might be a little bit different than the current existing members on the board, and I think, different attitudes, and as our culture and our language and our society evolves, I think so too do different attitudes as it pertains to ethics. I'm not saying that there's a massage area between right and wrong, but there's certainly different approaches to dealing with it. So if given the opportunity, I would be very honored. Thank you.
Great. Patrick? Right. Patrick Kane.
Thank you, Seth. Patrick Kane, District 1. I've served in this body, I think, I've lost track, I think 12 or 15 years. I've served on the TGSNA, education committees, PZ&H, and I'm currently on Public Works. I have not served on the Ethics Committee. I've lived in town now 33 years. Professionally, I've been in insurance, reinsurance, and now am in the finance industry, in the wealth community, wealth channel. I've served as a CEO and down also as a chief compliance officer in a couple of different organizations. So I have some background in looking at situations from a variety of different perspectives. In the interest of keeping this short, I'd welcome your vote, would be happy to serve on the Ethics Committee, and would also hope that we have very few cases to consider this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. John Vesey.
I have 1 year on the RTM. I spent 9.5 years as a registrar of voters for Darien. My previous life, my business life, I was in security and claims for AT&T. I dealt with a lot of people in a lot of bad situations. Sometimes they turned out okay, but most of the time they didn't. I worked with a lot of people. I've done a lot of training, and ethics has always been part of my life. It's the way I run myself, and I would look forward to being part of this committee and working with some of the people I've heard today. It's amazing the background some of the people have, and I'd like a shot at it. And I've been on during my tenure with the registrar, I've been on 2 committees, and I always turned out to be the one with the least amount of experience, but I ask a lot of questions. I look at a lot of things. I evaluate the best I can, and hopefully I'll do a good job if I'm elected. Thank you.
Just a brief explanation. The board is subject to equal representation, and the way that it's structured now, you have to have minority representation. We have 2 different parties represented already, so we don't have to worry about that here. It's just you need to check off 3 names from the list of active candidates, and from that we will conduct the election. Yes, now.
Are there any other questions on?
So if you'll pass your ballots down to the acting chair of the Good.
I'll go ask Christopher.
Yeah, okay.
Curtis.
Careful, careful, careful.
Curtis.
That's my favorite trick.
I say, okay. No one nominated.
Okay, now comes the fun part of the meeting. You can break up into your districts and have your district elections. And we'll announce the results of this vote as soon as we have it.
So for the Board of Ethics vote, we had 6 candidates for 3 positions. In order for a candidate to win, they must receive a majority of the votes per town council and Robert's rules. There were 77 votes cast, which means anyone now elected to the Board of Ethics would have to receive a majority plus 1 or 39 votes. We had 2 nominees receive that number. So I am pleased to announce that David Bain and Jim Cameron have been elected to the Board of Ethics. That still leaves 1 opening. Correct. Per Robert's rules and town council, the remaining 4 candidates will be entered again into a vote, and if one of those 4 receive a majority vote of those cast, that person will fulfill the last spot, that 3rd spot. Are there any questions?
Sounds good.
We will it's anticipated that it would happen at the state of the town. So there are no more nominees accepted. We have 4 nominees, and those 4 will appear on the ballot for December 11th for the 1 spot to achieve a majority of the votes cast.
Very fair. Thank you, Kristen.
What's that?
How many votes does number 3 have?
Didn't expect this one.